Once upon a time, the son of the king of the West had a strange dream. In this dream, destiny betrothed him to the daughter of the king of the East. When he woke up the next morning, he was shocked to find the princess's betrothal ring on his finger. Interestingly, on that very same night, the princess had experienced an identical dream. She too awoke to find the prince's betrothal ring on her finger. Without hesitation, the young prince set out to find his destined bride. After a long journey, he arrived at the city of the king of the East. Due to the ongoing conflict between their fathers, the prince couldn't reveal his true identity. Instead, he entered the king's service as a stranger. For 7 years, the prince served the king faithfully. During this time, he spent many joyful hours with the young princess, his secret betrothed. When his service came to an end, he approached the king with a request. "Your Majesty," he said, "as payment for my years of service, I ask for your daughter's hand in marriage." The king, who had grown fond of the young man, agreed to the proposal. However, the prince had one more request. "I must take her to my country for the wedding," he said. The king consented to this as well, allowing his daughter to leave with a generous dowry. As they journeyed towards the kingdom of the West, the couple needed to cross the sea. They boarded a ship, unaware of the danger that awaited them. The ship's captain, a wicked man, was instantly captivated by the princess's beauty. Before setting sail, the captain approached the prince with a deceitful plan. "My lord," he said, "the voyage may be long due to unfavorable winds. Perhaps you should go ashore and make further preparations." Trusting the captain's words, the prince disembarked. As soon as he was out of sight, the captain weighed anchor and set sail, leaving the prince behind. When the prince returned, he was devastated to find the ship gone, along with his beloved. All he could do was lament his misfortune. Meanwhile, the princess, confined to her cabin, didn't realize what had happened until it was too late. When she confronted the captain, he brazenly proposed marriage. "Marry you? Such a vile beast!" she exclaimed in disgust. "I'd rather make my grave in the depths of the sea." But they were in the open sea, far from any help. The princess, realizing she couldn't overpower the captain, decided to use her wit instead. "Very well," she said after a moment's thought. "I will be your wife, but not at sea. Let's go to your city and have a proper, lawful wedding." The captain, pleased with her apparent change of heart, agreed. When they reached his city, the princess suggested, "You should go ahead and make the preparations. I'll wait here until you return." As soon as the unsuspecting captain went ashore, the princess turned to the sailors. "Weigh anchor immediately," she commanded. The ship set sail once more, with the princess at the helm, heading towards an unknown destination. After some time, they arrived at a bustling port city. Coincidentally, the young king of this city was in the midst of selecting his bride. He had already chosen 39 beautiful maidens, but needed one more to complete the group of 40, from which he would choose his queen. Hearing of a beautiful newcomer at the port, the king rushed to meet her. Upon seeing the princess, he was awestruck. "Fair maiden," he said, "please join us and complete our group of 40. You're the most beautiful of all. Surely you'll be my queen, and the others will be your handmaidens." The princess, seeing an opportunity, replied, "I'd be honored. But first, send your 39 maidens to me. I wish to arrive at your palace with a grand procession." The young king eagerly agreed and sent the maidens to the ship. As soon as they were aboard, the clever princess set sail once again. She revealed her true identity to the maidens and asked for their companionship on her journey. Captivated by her beauty and commanding presence, they all agreed to follow her to the ends of the earth if necessary. After a long voyage, they reached an unknown shore with a mysterious castle. The group of 40 women disembarked and entered the castle, finding it lavishly furnished with 40 bedrooms, each containing a luxurious bed. The castle was filled with riches and abundant food. After satisfying their hunger, each maiden retired to a separate chamber for the night. In the middle of the night, the castle door suddenly burst open. 40 bandits, the true owners of the stronghold, entered, returning from their nightly raid with a substantial haul. "Well, well," exclaimed one of the bandits, spotting the maidens. "We went hunting elsewhere, and look what we find in our own home." Quick thinking as ever, the maidens played along. "Welcome, brave heroes," they cooed. "We've been waiting for you." Fooled by this warm reception, the bandits entered the maidens' rooms without suspicion. Once the robbers had laid down their weapons and fallen asleep, each maiden took a sword and swiftly beheaded the bandit in her room. Come morning, the maidens rose and donned the clothes and arms of the dead bandits, transforming themselves into youthful knights. They mounted the bandits' horses, filling their saddlebags with gold, silver, and jewels from the castle. After a long journey, they arrived at the city of the King of the West. They set up camp in a meadow on the outskirts of the city. Soon they heard a herald's cry, hear ye, tomorrow a new king shall be elected. Our late sovereign has passed, and the heir is lost. We must choose a new ruler." The next day, all the people of the realm gathered in the palace park. The 40 strangers, curious about the proceedings, joined the crowd. The nobles released the royal eagle, which soared over the massive gathering, its keen eyes searching for the true candidate for the throne. The multitude held their breath as the majestic bird circled overhead. Suddenly it descended and perched upon the head of the disguised princess. "This must be a mistake," the nobleman exclaimed. "We must try again." They released the eagle once more, but again it landed on the princess's head. A third attempt yielded the same result. The crowd erupted in cheers. "Long live the king!" With great pomp, the disguised princess and her companions were escorted to the royal palace. There, she was anointed with holy oil and crowned king, while her companions were appointed as ministers. This new king proved to be the wisest and most just ruler the country had ever known. The people loved and honored their sovereign with all their hearts. In the center of the city, the princess turned king built a magnificent fountain adorned with her own image. She stationed guards around it with specific instructions. "Watch carefully," she told them. "If you see any stranger who recognizes my image, bring them to me immediately." One day, a stranger came to drink from the fountain. Upon seeing the image, he gazed at it for a long time and sighed deeply. The guards promptly arrested him and brought him to the king. The disguised princess, observing from behind a curtain, ordered him to be imprisoned. This was the treacherous ship captain. On another day, a different stranger came, and also sighed upon seeing the image. This was the young king who had owned the 39 maidens. He was kept in a palace apartment. Finally, disguised as a commoner, came the prince, the true heir to the throne and the princess's betrothed. He too looked at the image and sighed, and was taken to the palace. The princess, still disguised as the king, called for a grand assembly of all the nobility and wise men of the realm. She had the 3 strangers brought before the assembly, and began to recount her incredible story from beginning to end. When she finished, the assembly passed judgment. The captain, for his treachery, was condemned to death and swiftly executed. The young king who had owned the 39 maidens was reunited with them. As a gesture of goodwill, the princess added one of her most beautiful handmaidens to their group, bringing their number back to 40. Finally, the prince, her destined betrothed and the true heir to the throne, stepped forward. The princess revealed her true identity, and the couple was finally reunited. Their wedding celebration was a spectacle of joy and splendor, lasting for 40 days and 40 nights. The prince was crowned as the rightful king, with his bride as his queen, and they ruled the kingdom together.